And we're back. Okay, so Antony enters, and we're at the bottom of 49. And Brutus says, but here comes Antony. Welcome, Mark Antony. And Antony is immediately distracted by the dead body of Caesar. I will see if I can find a clip so you can see it. He says, oh, mighty Caesar, dost thou lie so low? Or all thy conquests, glories, triumphs, spoils shrunk to this little measure? He's saying, you were such a great man, achieved such great things. Is this now what has come of you? Fare thee well. Now he turns his attention to the conspirators and he says, I know not, gentlemen, what you intend. Who else must be let blood? Who else is rank? If I myself, there is no hour so fit as Caesar's death hour, nor no instrument of half that worth as your swords, made rich with the most noble blood of all this world. I do beseech you, I beg you, if you bear me hard, if you don't support me, now, whilst your purple hands do reek and smoke, fulfill your pleasure. In Roman times, people, it was considered honorable to commit suicide if your leader is dead. So what Antony's saying, if you bear me hard, if you don't support me, if you're against me, there's no better time than to kill me now, when great Caesar actually died. He said, live 1,000 years, I shall not find myself so apt to die. I'm so ready to die. No place will please me so, no mean of death is here by Caesar, and by you cut off the choice and master spirits of this age. Now we know Brutus, he's a good guy, he's honorable. So immediately look at his response on line 178. He says, oh, Antony, beg not your death of us, though we now must appear bloody and cruel. No kidding, Brutus. As by our hands, as this was the present act, you see we do. Yet you see you but our hands, and this the bleeding business they have done. You only see the bleeding business of our hands, the act that we did. He says, our hearts you see not. You don't see what was in our hearts, the motives, the reason why we did. They are pitiful, and pity to the general wrong of Rome. As fire drives out fire, so pity, pity, hath done this deed on Caesar. For your part, to you our swords have leaden points, flattened points. We have no harm intended towards you. Our arms in strength of malice, our hearts, our brother's temper, do receive you with all kinds of love, good thoughts, and reverence. Cassius says, your voice shall be as strong as any man's in the disposing of new dignities. So if you look at the left-hand side, he's saying, listen, your voice, Antony, is very powerful as we address new political issues, new political offices. So Cassius is very well aware of the pull that Antony will have. Brutus says, only be patient till we have appeased the multitude. Appease means to calm down. The multitude meaning all of Rome. Just be patient till we calm everyone down, beside themselves with fear. And then we will deliver to you the cause why I, that did love Caesar, when I struck him, have thus proceeded. We will tell you why after we calm everybody down. So Antony says, I doubt not your wisdom. Let each man render me his bloody hand. So he wants to shake everybody's hand. I want you to think why. I'm going to read it and then think why he does what he does. He says, first, Marcus Brutus, I will shake with you. Next, Caius Cassius, I do take your hand. Now, Decius Brutus, yours. Now, Metellus Cimber, yours. Yours, Cinna, and my valiant Casca, yours. Though last, not least in love, yours, good Trebonius. So why is he saying each man's name? I wish you could participate because my son is only the cameraman and he doesn't know the play. Why would he want to remember each man that was involved in the conspiracy? Think. He says, yours, Cinna, and my valiant Casca, yours, though not last in leave, good Trebonius. Gentlemen all, alas, what shall I say? My credit now stands on such slippery ground that one of two bad ways you must conceit me, either a coward or a flatterer. He goes, listen, I understand I'm on slippery ground. You either think I'm flattering you or I'm a coward. He says that I did love thee, Caesar. So he's talking directly to Caesar's body. He said, I did love you, Caesar. 'Tis true. If then thy spirit look upon us now, shall it not grieve thee nearer than thy death to see Antony making his peace, shaking these bloody fingers of thy foes most noble, in the presence of thy corse. Corse is a corpse. Had I as many eyes as thou hast wounds, weeping as fast as they stream forth thy blood, it would become me better than to choose in terms of friendship with thine enemies. Pardon me, Julius. Here wast thou bade, brave heart. Here didst thou fall, and here thy hunters stand, signed in thy spoil, and crimsoned red in thy lethe. O world, thou hast lost the forest of to the heart, and this indeed, O world, the heart of thee. How like a deer strucken by so many princes dost thou here lie. So if you look at his word choice as he talks to Caesar's body, it kind of lets us into the insight of what he actually thinks of the conspirators. So let's take a look. So if we go all the way down, he says on line 213, he says, shaking the bloody fingers of thy foes, enemies. Then he says, had I as many eyes as thou hast wounds, weeping as fast. He's talking about all the wounds that he has. And if he had as many eyes, okay, that like the wounds that he has that are bleeding forth. Look what he says. He calls them enemies. And then he says, excuse me, Julius. He says, he calls them hunters, okay, in line 220. So do you think he really, truly wants to befriend the conspiracy? Or do you think he's trying to make them believe that he's going to become friends? And in this moment, however, he lost his composure in looking at Caesar's body. So who catches on? Who is the one that's most astute to everybody? Well, Cassius, because look at line 226. Cassius says, Mark Antony. And Antony says, pardon me, Caius Cassius, the enemies of Caesar shall say this, that in a friend it is cold modesty. And Cassius says, I blame you not for praising Caesar so, but what compact, look at the right-hand side, okay? What compact mean you to have with us? Why are you here? Why are you making agree with us if you're friends with Caesar? He says, will you be pricked in number of our friends, or shall we on and not depend on you? Will you be part of our friends, part of our group? Are you on our side, or are you not? And Antony says, therefore I took your hands. He goes, that's why I shook your hands. So he has to cover his behind now. He says, but was indeed swayed from the point by looking down on Caesar. He says, I was just overcome with emotion as I looked down at Caesar's body. He's friends am I with you and love you all upon this hope that you shall give me reasons why and wherein Caesar was dangerous. I need my reasons. You need to give me reasons why Caesar was dangerous. And Brutus says, or else this was a savage spectacle. Our reasons are so full of good regard that were you, Antony, the son of Caesar, you should be satisfied. Our reasons are so good, Antony. If you were Caesar's son, you'd be okay with what we did. So Antony says, that's all I seek. And moreover, suitor, here's his request. Underline this in your book, 243 through about 247. He says that I may produce his body, bring his body to the marketplace, and in the pulpit, as becomes a friend, speak in the order of his funeral. So what does he want? He wants to bring Caesar's bloody body to the marketplace. Why would he want to do that? Why would he want to show all the Roman people this body that has 23 stab wounds? Think. And he wants to speak at the funeral. So Brutus immediately, you know he's idealistic. He probably trusts Mark Antony immediately. And he says, oh, you shall, Mark Antony. And Cassius says, Brutus, a word with you. And an aside to Brutus, meaning they're talking over to the side, he says, you know not what you do. Do not consent that Antony speak at his funeral. So Cassius feels that is the wrong thing to do. Know you how much the people may be moved by that which he will utter. And Brutus says, by your pardon, I will myself to the pulpit first. He goes, don't worry, I'll speak first. And show the reason of our Caesar's death. What Antony shall speak, I will protest he speaks by leave and by permission. I'm going to tell everybody we let Mark Antony speak. And that we are contented Caesar shall have all the true rights and lawful ceremonies that shall advantage more than do us wrong. Listen, I'm going to tell everybody we're going to give Caesar all the proper rights and burial, and it'll do us better. We'll be viewed as better that we let Mark Antony speak and that we gave Caesar the funeral rights. Cassius says, I know not what may fall. I like it not. And Brutus says, Mark Antony, here, take you Caesar's body. You shall not in his funeral speech blame us. Now that cracks me up because that's like when I tell my kids something. Listen, so you can have this, but make sure you don't do this. Can Brutus really control what Mark Antony is going to say? But speak all good you can devise of Caesar and say you do it by our permission. You're only allowed to speak well of Caesar. You are not allowed to blame us, else you should not have a hand at all about his funeral. And you shall speak in the same pulpit whereto I am going after my speech is ended. Antony, of course, agrees. What a great deal. Be it so. I do desire no more. And Brutus says, prepare the body then and follow us. So I'll pause here.